Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, especially those who have managed day 1, 2, and 3. Thank you for your persistence. I know what it is. You come the first day and you kind of get, and then you want more. And so I hope we haven't been disappointed you. I'm up here as the anticlimax. I don't have the sort of amazing stories that you've heard in the past few days, all these incredible challenges and how they've overcome them. So basically, I'm just going to show you my holiday pictures. But there's a little bit of story to them as well, maybe not as dramatic as everyone else, but just to tell you a little bit. I travel a lot for work, I have to tell you. So it is a rarity that I get to carve out time for an actual holiday. I've been traveling everywhere for work, and actually that was the impulse that made me start Zafigo.com. I'm also not a solo traveler, actually. I've never, actually I have when I was young. When I was about 25, I went around the world on my own. Not on a bike or anything, flight. Yeah. But of late, mostly I will travel with my family or with friends. And really that's because when I see wonderful things, I really want to share them with people I love. And when I see something special, I always think, I wish my husband and kids were there, I wish my friends were there. So I try to drag them along, sometimes unwillingly, but I drag them along. So this is really about some of my trips and when I've been on my own volition. So this is I love this picture. That's Mount Fitzroy in the back, which is Argentina. That's where I met my Patagonia tribe, 3 of whom are here today. Ibu Ndari, Faust, and Cecilia, wherever you are. Thank you for coming. So that's Mount Fitzroy in the back. Where do you ever get empty roads like that in this country? So just had to appreciate that. This is my totally favorite photo. I don't know how well it comes out there, but if you see the real thing, it really looks like a painting. I love this photo because it really, to me, encapsulates everything in my dreams about travel. This is Torres del Paine in Chile, in Chilean Patagonia. And I love it because, one, it does look like a painting. I suppose a painter would have made me slimmer, but never mind. And 2, because I actually had to wake up early in the morning because everyone else was waking up in the morning, and it was cold and everything, but it was totally worth it. You can't see it here, but actually we woke up so that we could see the sunrise, and it hits those mountains in a phase like that, and it is totally breathtaking and worth it. So, what's the story behind the trip to Patagonia? Last year, I turned 60. I'm the same age as the country. So if you ever forget, So I thought I'd get myself a birthday present, and I was trying to think of what to get me, and I really felt like, I have enough handbags, I have enough jewelry, I have enough whatever, things to give myself handbag. So I wanted to give myself something which I never had before, and I really wanted an experience. And it so happened, I was talking to a cousin of mine who goes on wonderful holidays all the time, and she had just come back from, I think, the North Pole. Uh, yes, she just came back from the North Pole, you know. And I was just talking to her, and I said, God, I love to go, and I'd love to go to Patagonia. And she said, well, guess what? The guy I just went to the North Pole with is organizing a trip to Patagonia. Why don't you talk to him? So I did, and that's how I came to go on this trip, which was last April. And it's not the easiest thing to be doing. It's not the cheapest thing to be doing. But I figured that when you turn 60, you deserve it. You know? So and I dragged my poor husband along. So I was looking, and I really wanted to go the furthest place, the most different place from Malaysia I could find. But let me tell you this story. If you've gotten the impression over this past few days that Malaysians get everywhere, let me tell you that is true. On my very first day in El Calafate, which is the town that we start off from, I was in a souvenir shop, and I was just about to leave, and at the door there was this woman coming in, Chinese-looking woman, could have been from anywhere in the world, Chinese-looking woman, and she looked at me and she went, Mahathir daughter. Patagonia. Patagonia. Do you know how to get to Patagonia? No, okay. I chose the most humane way. There are other ways of getting there, but the most humane way to my mind, but my tribe might think differently, I don't know. We flew 13 hours to London, had a few days off to sort of, actually had to do something with my daughter there. And then it's another 13 hours down to Buenos Aires. Stayed one day there in Buenos Aires, and then get a domestic flight, and it's another 3 hours down to El Calafate. I mean, you go from KL, you fly for 3 hours, you're in a totally different country. Argentina, you're still in the same country. It's all the way down. I wish I had a map, but if you look at the map of South America, it's down there. Almost at the North Pole, not as far down as where Anita went, but pretty far down there. So, you know, it is near enough to the South Pole that I could get. But as humane as you want to make it, and I was traveling quite comfortably, you still get bone weary no matter what. You know, I mean, nobody's made a perfect airline seat in whatever class there is. But I couldn't believe I was in Patagonia. I mean, I think my husband will tell you how many times I kept saying, I'm in Patagonia. People recognizing me at souvenir shops notwithstanding. And I think we were there for 10 days or 12 days, and it was totally awesome. So why did I want to give myself Patagonia as a birthday present? One, because it's almost, to me at least, it was almost mystical for being so far away. It's a place that real adventurous go to. It's been immortalized in books by travel writers like Bruce Chatwin, Paul Theroux. Two, I've gotten to that age where I've been to so many cities that I really wanted to go somewhere where there are no H&Ms and Zaras. I think the trouble with globalization is that it's made the whole world pretty much the same. You know, after a while, you just don't know where you are because you keep seeing the same thing, you know, Chanel, LV, Hermes, H&M, Zara, everywhere, you know. So I just wanted to go to a place which was different, where I really felt that I was in another place altogether. And I think nowadays more and more people, don't want the same thing over and over again. And three, I have this funny quirk where I try and do something a little scary every few years. And that's because I feel like I need to shake myself out of complacency. It's very easy to be comfortable and do the same thing day in, day out. And then you sort of, you kind of get complacent with yourself. So when I was turning 50, I climbed Mount Kinabalu for the first time, which was quite a challenge. I was the second last person on the peak. The last person was my dear hubby. It was quite funny because there were all these students who were like up and just like, just a little bit more near the peak already. There were all these students, they're all looking at me and going, "Come on, Datin." Guys don't get that. I get that. It's really embarrassing. So since Kinabalu, I'm done with mountains. Don't ask me to go. Sorry, Shah. But I try to do some things. I've been going to Scotland for kind of a boot camp, a fitness camp, where I go trekking, hiking through the forest, building shelters, abseiling down cliffs, and really trying to do things that I just wouldn't do at home. And I'm plunging into freezing rivers because apparently it's slimming. Didn't you know that? Try it. And Patagonia was relatively relaxed because it was well organized, except, of course, you have to deal, as Anita said earlier, with the cold and the wind. Ibu and I were, and Faust were on top of this little hill that we went to, another of those early morning treks. There's the trouble with traveling photographers. They all want to get up early. And, we were walking back to where our bus was, and it was like this, like this. And I lost my hat. And it was a real challenge to not fall over this sort of rock or big knee, and only thing to do was to squat down because let the wind go over your head. But I've never felt that before. And so the wind is a real challenge, so woe betide you if you brought the wrong clothes and the wrong shoes, And so I went with a small group, about 10 people altogether, and found myself seeing things like this. That's a glacier. If you've never seen a glacier in real life, that is, if you come from the tropics especially, that sight makes you speechless, just speechless. The very idea that here is bright sunshine, as you can see. There's this gigantic block of ice, several stories high, 5 kilometers wide, and 30 kilometers going back. You can only see about 14 there because it rounds the corner and it goes on, but 30 kilometers of ice there. And you can feel that it is a living, breathing thing because you hear sounds and sometimes it just sort of crumbles and cracks. And I really understood when I saw it. I mean, to me, and this was actually the first day, is the Perito Moreno Glacier near El Calfate. And to me, I always remember this as the highlight of my trip, and it was the first day, because I really understood just then the awesome beauty of nature, but also its immense power. I mean, that's a lot of power there. if all of that melted, and it is melting, I mean, we'd all drown. Every single person in the world, I think, would drown. So it's got an awesome power, and it made a tiny city girl like me feel small and humble. That's a thing in itself. It's sitting there and it's saying, I am the glacier. I am me, and it is totally self-confident. And it's not interested in taking a selfie with me. But of course, that didn't stop me from taking selfies with it. You can actually get on a boat and go quite close up to that. And that is, like I said, for a girl from the tropics, from the equator, this is, you couldn't, I might as well have been on the moon. It was just so different. So since then, I've developed a taste. Well, I had a taste of it before, but, like everyone has been saying, once you start doing this type of travel, it's really addictive. And I have, 5 minutes left? Are you kidding? It's really addictive. So I always try nowadays when I'm traveling for myself to do something that is a little bit different, that makes comfort with a little bit of discomfort, because I don't think there would be any point in travel otherwise. So last year, and some people are going to see themselves in this, along with my husband and 7 friends, I went on a walking tour of Japan. And that's my group. What we did is that we walked through, we didn't do the whole lot. There is something called the Nakasendo walk, which follows the route that the samurai and all used to take to go pay homage to the emperor in Tokyo, from Kyoto to Tokyo. We just did a small section of it. We get to stay at this wonderful Japanese inns and everything. But we hike in the countryside, that's why we are dressed like that, for about 6 to 12 kilometers a day, up and down hills very often. So it's enough of a challenge. And some of those people there have never done this before. So yeah, I drag my friends along when I want them to see things. Like I said, I don't like to experience things without the people I love, so I drag them kicking and screaming with me in the hope that, they will get infected as well. But the rewards are immense. There are beautiful countryside views. That's us going around one of the countryside tracks on that walk. Well, we didn't quite meet a bear. Somebody met a bear. I think it was, who was it? We didn't quite meet a bear, but we certainly got a bear warning. I'm very glad that we didn't meet any bears. I don't think our designer glasses would have stayed on our noses. And we had, let me tell you, we had fabulous food at each stop. This was just one of the meals that we had. And we also discovered the pleasures of the onsen, the Japanese hot baths, which the first one is like, oh, really? Must take off all our clothes and walk around naked in the, female only, okay, female only. We walked in the first time, and there was this old lady with only one breast. And they were like this. And we were all walking around, like that. But once we got in the bar, I thought, hey, this is nice, And after that, we got so addicted that every night we wanted to have onsen. So if you've never experienced it, forget any inhibitions. Just do it. It is awesome. No pictures of that, sorry. They don't. Understandably, they don't allow us to take photographs. So we came off this trip feeling like women warriors. I know that looks like all women. Actually, we did have men there, 2 men, but they declined to to be, I think, they had enough of being surrounded by us girls all the time. So yeah, so that was great. And this year, my husband and I, we went to Bhutan, where we did more hiking, including all the way up to the Tiger's Nest Monastery, which you may have heard of. That looks benign enough. But to get there, it's about 2 hours to the cafe, which is like midpoint where you can see it. And then to get up there, for us, it was another 2 hours. We had a very young friend with us who did the whole thing in, I don't know, in half the time that we did. But those are very steep cliffs. And the steps look very, very narrow. And I have to say that, I looked down those steps and my heart I felt like my heart stopped because they look seriously dodgy. Someone said to me, just hang on to the railing. Just hang on to the railing. But the railing is on the outside, like that. And I thought I was better off doing this. Hang on to the cliff. But whatever it was, I did make it up there. It was freezing cold, but it's worth it. There are several shrines and beautiful shrines up there. And we had lunch and then came down again. And I have to tell you, okay, the selfie culture business, I can't see my bed. I sat very bad. I cannot see what timing is there. Our guide was saying, oh, at least now you have railings and all that. Because before we didn't have. And there was someone, a woman who was doing a selfie of herself with that in the background. Dun, 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 and actually fell off. Fell off, down. I don't even know how they retrieve her. So always be alert when you're on these trips. Jangan lupa diri, as they say. But Bhutan really is, I highly recommend it. It's really Shangri-La. This is me and my friend, and it looks like we're on the edge of the cliff. Even that, my heart was pumping because it looked like, if you're the sort who is gayat, you're afraid of heights, Bhutan can be a bit challenging. And this was one of those times when you really feel like you're going over the edge. But, I get to have an awesome picture like that. And this is, I really think it's Shangri-La. And I was there in the winter when the vegetation wasn't green yet, and just every scene was like, wow. And I think everyone is there. So again, as long as you have the right shoes, clothes, and walking sticks, you'll be fine. Always be prepared, as a lot of people and as the Girl Guides always say. And I think the thing about it is that when you physically challenge yourself and come out of it alive, you really do feel alive. You feel you can do anything. It's a huge boost for your self-confidence. And I'm not saying the more relaxed type of holidays where you just lie by the beach and all that isn't good, because I'm not a beach person, but I also do like the do-nothing type of holidays. But I think what is interesting is to have a mix of different types of trips rather than having the same type all the time. Life is too interesting to only stick to one thing. And of course, as many people have said, you do meet lots of different people. I think one of the more memorable times of our trip was, coming off this hill, like that, coming on this hill, and then finding, we didn't find, the guy knew it was there, a little cafe run by two old people elderly people. I mean, just so wonderful. The husband is a model railway enthusiast, and he had a whole railway track in his backyard. The wife plays the harmonica, and of course had to play with us. And she makes great cakes and tea. And he insisted on teaching us some Japanese song. Yoi, yoi, yoi. So we had to layan lah. But it was so delightful. There we were outside eating cake, being entertained, and there was a volcano in front of us. I was just like, oh my God, how did I get so lucky? In Bhutan also, it was wonderful. We found that nearly everybody speaks excellent English, and so polite, very handsome people, and very, very polite. And even the little village kids were so cute. Look at how beautiful they are. They say please, and thank you, and excuse me, and things like that in perfect English, which I think at home also we don't find anymore. No? So I had to go there to find. So, and as many people have said, if you open yourself up to the people, you are rewarded by great warmth and kindness, and it really gives you hope in humanity. It really revives your hope in humanity. And I think that's what we need in the world today, to have more hope in people, because there's so much that separates us, that insists on separating us. And I think travel is a barrier against that, it provides resistance against that separation. So I think that travel does do something to your well-being that's different from staying at home. Of course, it can be exhausting, but when it's informed and well-planned, then it is just a whole lot better. I have to confess that after our wonderful Bhutan trip and all that, left it feeling very, very zen, got to Bangkok, missed the connecting flight. And then found that it was virtually impossible to get another flight because it was the end of Chinese New Year and the whole world was trying to go home. So every counter I went to, no seats. No seats, no seats. Not only no seats, I don't want to help you in any way, I finally found one good airline employee at, not our airline, but neighboring airline. And it took me, almost 24 hours, not quite 24, almost, to get home via another country and all that. So the lesson from that is that always check the calendar carefully, very, very carefully. Don't get mixed up. So you may think that the travel that I've done is expensive and not accessible to everyone, which is in a way is true. But I waited 60 years to do this. And I don't think it would have been possible when I was much younger because I wouldn't have had the resources to do it. That's true. But I do think that young people, and you've heard some very young people, they're always resourceful and creative. And I was that too. Like I told you, when I was 25, I think, I went, or maybe a bit less, I went around the world. And that was possible because I managed somehow, rooting around, I found a round the world ticket for 1,500 ringgit. Which was amazing, and I stayed with friends and things like that. 7 weeks I managed to go away. So really, I mean, it's a matter of creativity, it's a matter of research, I think it's not as inaccessible as so you just have to want the world enough, and somehow you'll get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Paduka Marina.